Hello YouTube, it's MC Go 101 here, and I'm back with another YXZ video. And in today's video, it's kind of a continuation of my previous one. I did an unboxing of a SuperATV windshield for this 2017 Yamaha YXZ. This is the SSSE model. Yeah, long story short, my previous video, the whole machine was just caked in mud. I had gotten it stuck many a times in the winter and hadn't gotten around to cleaning it. So I did run it through the wash quick. So I'm in better shape to start doing some work to it. But yeah, I did a quick search. I didn't see anybody else really have a how-to video on how to install this. So I thought I'd try and do a quick step-by-step on how to do it. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to it. I don't think there's a lot of tools required. I have the stock cage on mine. So here you're going to need 14 mil wrench, and then another wrench in the back to hold it. So I've already went ahead and cracked those loose, and I'll show you why. That's going to be where the lower part of the new windshield is going to mount. So let's move on to that. Now, so this is the permanent part that forms along the bottom of the hood. What I've went ahead and done is just put the seal on. Expect to fight with this for about 15 minutes, whatever. When you do it, there's extra material, so just kind of, I'd recommend evening it out, the extra on each side. And then starting on one side, and just got to really work it into the grooves. I might have to go back, push it in, but that is easily done. So that's out of the way. Next, we're going to put this little catch here. So I think this is going to be for the opening bracket for the upper part of the windshield. Yeah, so in the kit, there was a few components. So a plate's just going to go underneath. This is going to sit on top, and I'm going to bolt that on. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done now. And then we'll move on to the next step of getting the bottom part of the windshield in position. So let's get set up and get started. Okay, so as you can see, we just put on our quick catch. Now this is going to be part of the latch system for the upper part of the windshield. And so we're going to try and start getting this into position. I'm going to try and solo this. But like I said, so I've already got the hardware loose. The kit comes with brand new hardware provided. Now, the new hardware is longer to fit the new windshield. Alright guys, so I'll show you where I'm at. So we almost have the lower half of the SuperATV flip-up windshield installed. I did run into a couple of snags. So first, quickly I'll show you the hardware. I don't have any bolts in, but so new hardware for here. The bolts are longer. They go through a bracket on the lower windshield. So that's fine, but on the instructions it says that there is a spacer. So this spacer, which is just 4 M10 nuts, was not included in the kit. Not a huge deal, I just don't happen to have any on hand. What I am going to do is just put a spacer in. I just found 4 of the same, nothing special. But yeah, so other than fiddling around with that, actually getting this lower part in is a little bit tricky. Like as far as I know, this is just a stock cage. But I got the new hardware in, and so I kind of wiggled it in position. But what I found to work best, if I put the whole windshield inside the roll bar, and then I wiggled it back and put the bracket onto the bolts, and then I come over to this side, and what I noticed was this was actually stuck behind the bar. So I removed these 2 bolts just to give me a little extra space to push this forward, And now I'm going to go ahead and put the 2 bolts back in, line it up with this bracket, and then before I put any bolts on, actually I think the washer needs to go right here, and then the bolt goes on the outside. So yeah, I'm going to have to take those out, put the washer in. So yep, I'm just going to put the bolts back in. Washer here, it should be the nut that wasn't included, and then the bolt. Worst case is it may stretch the bracket out a little bit, but I don't think it'll be a big difference. And again, there's a little extra material on our seal, but I'll cut that off after. Yeah, there's a good size here, but I'll leave it on until everything's set right. But yeah, so we're almost there. Let's get this done and we'll get on to the next step. Alright guys, so I have the upper windshield part. We are going to try to assemble it. Definitely easier if you had a 2-man team, but I am way out in the country, so let's figure it out. It's a bit of a weird design, but it just comes with clamps that are going to go around your frame. So they already had bolts in them, 2 per clamp, so 4 per side. I already went ahead and took them out. So I'm going to go ahead and try and rest it in position. Now again, bear with me. I am soloing this. Okay. So just a little bit of adjusting. Gotta figure out where everything is going first. Okay. And actually, so as you can see, I have the far side clamped. The other side is just dangling. I'm going to loosely put in the other side bolts just so it don't slip. And then I'll put in the other side. So they're just Allen key. I think they're 532s, just little things for the clamps. All right. Awesome. So we got the one side loosely clamped. So just gonna try to wiggle this into position. All right. So with the upper windshield loosely mounted in place, I'll actually show you just kind of what they look like. All right, so there's our gas shock, and just in behind, you'll see there's the 4 or 532 Allen key bolts. But this is how it looks from the inside. Without the shocks dangling, that looks really cool, man. Awesome. Now there's a little gap at the top, but we'll adjust that. We'll fill that gap. And there's also a foam seal, I believe, that runs in between, so you're not banging them together when you open and close it all the time. All right, so next thing is just going to get the upper part adjusted properly. We'll get it tightened down, and we'll get the gas shocks tuned up. So we'll go ahead and do that now. All right, guys, so it is almost done. It's starting to look really good. The gas shocks are all hooked up. One little note, if you can remember, if you end up doing this, which you may if you're watching this video, before you bracket your upper windshield, make sure your gas shocks are flipped out and forward, because otherwise you got to compress them and then flip them over the bottom part. Just a pain in the butt. So I went ahead and tightened the handle, but I've left the latch loose. But what I did is I shuffled this up, I lined that up, so I'm going to tighten these, and then I'll tighten the latch, and then once that's all set, then I'm going to snug up my frame bolts. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, last but not least, the two final things I'm going to do. I'm going to cut off the excess material for the bottom seal. I'm just going to take a pair of scissors to that. And then I'm going to tighten up the frame bolts, or sorry, the cage bolts. Okay, so something I want to point out is never play around with safety. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, this kit was missing 4 basically spacers. Now, those spacers went in between this black bracket and this blue frame. Now, they are missing. I'm going to snug these up and just take it around the block, but I'm going to go to the hardware store and get the proper spacers. There's just 4 nuts, M10s I think, and put them in and redo this properly. You don't want to play around with safety. I'm not going to be racing by any means, but I do hear that these are weak cages, so I don't want to take any extra precautions. Just a side note, I want to throw that out there. But yeah, cool, check this out. So basically all tightened up, except for the cage bolts. So here we are in our YXZ. Alright, let's try pulling this window down. Okay. Alright, interesting. I might have to close it with the second hand. But I think a couple quick adjustments on the shocks may be able to tune that. I didn't realize there was an adjustment there. But yeah, that looks great, guys. I'm just going to tighten up the cage bolts, go around the block. I did this video because I didn't see anybody else had done one yet. So just in case somebody plans to do it, hopefully this helps somebody. I tried to do step by step, but I ran into snags along the way. I did my best to film the important parts and the tips and tricks anyway. But yeah, so down the road I'll do a quick review on it as well. But once it's tuned up and I get the spacers in there properly, I'm sure it'll work just fine. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this helps somebody. And if you like this, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Do whatever you want to do. We'll see you guys next time.